All right, guys, welcome again. This week we have a few pretty large proposals to discuss. Yesterday we discussed RockX's big proposal. Today we're discussing Stader's huge, very significant, and very, very exciting proposal. Today with us we have Amit and Vinap. We're here with Adam as well. We're pretty happy to have you guys with us, and very, very happy that you guys are explaining or finally explaining how you're planning on doing staking pools for SSV. So without further ado, I'll let you take the stage. And I know you guys presented or prepared a quick presentation. So take the stage. I mean, it's all yours.
Thanks a lot, Eran and Adam, for having us here and also giving us the opportunity to talk to your community about what we want to build on SSV network. Let me start off by quickly introducing Stader and our vision, and I'll go into the specific details around what we have achieved so far, which is the team behind Stader, and a few more details. Right. Quickly summarizing what we want to build for staking, we want to actually build a infrastructure middleware for staking. We call it like the staking smart contracts as a service. The reason why infrastructure middle layer makes a lot of sense for staking is because as a lot of user segments adopt crypto, including retail, institutions, exchanges, and potentially mainstream applications like the Robinhoods, Revoluts of the world, each of these segments needs a different type of staking solution because their aspirations and their requirements are quite different. Now, a single stake pool probably will not be adequately satisfy all of their requirements. Hence, we've taken this approach of building modular and extremely flexible smart contracts for staking. So that's kind of like the staking smart contracts as a service that we have built on Terra. So that while that is the beginning of our journey, obviously we want to expand this across the consumer segments. At the same time, expand this to multiple blockchains, ETH being one of the largest and obviously probably going to be the most valuable network across the world, right? So hence, building Stader infrastructure on top of SSV becomes critical for us because one, I see significant amount of overlap in the ethos that both SSV network and Stader wants to bring to crypto, and there are several advantages of collaborating with SSV network while we build our staking smart contracts on Ethereum, which I'll get to in the subsequent slides. But at a high level, Stader staking smart contracts as a service and middleware infrastructure for staking. Let me quickly jump into what our vision is. Our vision is to
1 second. Sorry for jumping in and interrupting. I think we skipped the whole introduction part about who you guys are, and what you guys do for at the moment with Luna and how you stake there. I think it would be we know all about it, but it'd be great if you could share a few words about it as well.
Sure, absolutely. So our smart contracts have already been live on the Terra ecosystem, and Luna staking on Stader is already has been live for about 2.5 months now. On the whole, we have close to about 30,000 unique wallets that are staking with us across 3 of our main products that we have launched on Terra staking. And overall, there is about 8 to 8.2 million Luna that is staked in today's terms, thanks to Luna price appreciation. It is about $770 million. So on Luna, wow. I'll get to the specifics on what are the products that are live in the subsequent slides, but that gives a quick background about what we have built on Terra. Should I just quickly jump into the vision?
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry. Absolutely.
No problem. So our vision is actually to make staking mainstream. What that means a lot of things across different consumer segments. On the retail side, we want to bring like 1 billion users to stake, not just to crypto, probably in 10 years time frame, maybe 2 to 3 billion users come to crypto, and we want a lion's share of those consumers or users to stake, because staking is like the bond markets of the traditional world, and a lot of people would like obviously choose staking as a means to earn productive income on their crypto or digital assets, right? For institutions, I think there are a large set of unmet needs for institutions today when it comes to crypto and staking, including lack of access to high quality and secure staking solutions, lack of access to KYC in staking pools, geography specific pools, and probably also tax optimized staking solutions. We obviously want to increase the institutional adoption uh, to staking. So that's the second goal for the second consumer segment, and the third consumer segment is kind of enabling the next set of retail users to get access to get retail users to discover and access very simplified and high quality staking solutions across the tier two, tier three, and exchanges, as well as potential mainstream fintech applications, right? So that's where it kind of the umbrella vision that we've set for ourselves is to really make staking mainstream, right? Quickly jumping into the team that we have at Stader. Uh, my name is Amitesh. I'm the co-founder and CEO. Siddharth and Dheeraj are our co-founders on the technology side. All three of us have put together more than about 30 years of professional experience working across the top companies across India and the US. We also have Vipin here, who joined us a month ago. Vipin is an ex-colleague from my Swiggy days. He also has about 12 years of experience across Boston Consulting Group, as well as top startups in India. Among the other leadership team members, we have Vijay, who's a 10 plus years in the product role, used to head a portion of the product at booking.com in Amsterdam. We also have Gautam, who used to be an ex-investment banker and management consultant. So that's a quick glimpse of the leadership team. Additionally, we have more than 40 people who are working with us, about 30 of them being full-time resources.
It's a huge team.
Yep. So these are quick stats. Obviously, the slide is a little dated. It doesn't include the recent Luna price appreciation. But on the whole, we are at about 8 million Luna and $770 million of staked assets through our platform. I think this is a good point for me to introduce what we have actually built on Luna. In line with our thesis of building the infrastructure layer for staking, what we have built on Terra are three different products. One is very commonly known liquid staking solution on Terra, where users stake Luna with us with our contract, and the contract uh, like splits the Luna staked across several validators, and then gives a synthetic token called Luna X that can be leveraged across the DeFi ecosystem. The second solution that we also built on Terra is called the stake pools. What that means is we have created these distinct validator pools, which users can pick and choose. Uh, what that means is we have created a pool specific to validators who are creating their own protocols and airdropping their tokens to users who are staking with those validators. So we've created a pool for such validators. It has about 3 to 4 validators right now. We've also created a pool for validators who are very actively participating in the development of the Terra ecosystem, creating content, building dashboards. These are called the community validators. There is a huge interest among the retail segment on Terra to stake with these community validators and actively support them, right? And then what this kind of enables us is to create any kind of such permutations and combinations of validators and enable either institutions or retail consumers to stake with these validator pools. Tomorrow, if a fund or an exchange wants us to build a validator pool that has KYC set of validators, it's just a matter of few hours for us to spin up that pool. Similarly, if an institution wants to stake a few hundred millions to a specific set of really high quality validators that have demonstrated extremely high performance, zero slashing history in the past, uh, we have built a product called Know Your Validator in the background that gives us access to all such high quality insights on Terra, and we can spin up this customized pool for that institution. We already have a couple of institutions that are staking with such customized pools on Terra with us. Right. So summarizing three products: one is liquid staking, two stake pools, and then the customized staking solutions on Terra for us. We've also built a sizable community on Terra. We have, like I mentioned, 30,000 unique wallets staking with us. We have about 50 to 53,000 active Twitter and Discord, Telegram community that have been quite supportive throughout our journey. Right. I quickly touch upon this. We're backed by several of the marquee global crypto as well as Web2 funds, including Three Arrows Blockchain, Pantera, Accomplice, as well as Axel Partners and Golden Tree. All have been quite supportive throughout our journey. And obviously, when it comes to crypto, safety has been our highest priority. All of our contracts have gone through 5 audits by some of the top audit firms on Terra: Oak Securities, Certic, Halburn. All of them have audited our contracts, and we are very comfortable and quite quite comfortable with the contracts and think that they're absolutely safe and secure. Which is, and some of the funds that have invested with us, they are already staking significant amount of their Luna asset with us, which is a testimony to the safety of our contracts. Just want to pause and hear any questions.
A quick comment from me. I think that the idea of sort of thematic staking pools is incredible, and that goes to show that you guys really succeeded in capturing a lot of market and imaginations of different developers in the Luna ecosystem. So that's super incredible. I would love it if you could explain a bit about how would that be implemented on Ethereum. It will be a super interesting discussion and a way from us to learn about that idea of indexation of operators in our network. Maybe this is something you guys could get to in later stages of the presentation.
Absolutely, we would love to talk about that when we discuss and go through the proposal.
Yeah,
perfect. So just a quick clarification, not so much on the technical side, but you mentioned that you've been live for how many months? 3.5 months on
2.5 months, yeah.
2.5 months, and you guys, with the price spikes, recent price spikes, you're almost $800 million. Okay, very impressive. Okay, just wanted to make sure I captured that. Yeah, hyper growth.
Yep. Thank you. So obviously these are the several advantages for the delegators. So I mostly worded this from a delegator perspective. Let me cover this, and I can also talk about what are the advantages of these stake pools for networks like Terra, or for that matter, any of the proof of stake blockchains. Terra is a very specific blockchain where its whole and sole purpose is to make UST the most widely used decentralized stablecoin. So as a result, most of the transaction fees are collected in UST, and all of those UST, a portion of that UST is given to stakers as rewards. And there are about 15 different currencies on Terra that are given out as staking rewards. So our contracts convert all of them to Luna in the background and restake that. As a result of which, what users are doing is, if they stake with us, they're doing a dollar cost average. That means every day our contracts are using the UST rewards and all the other currency rewards to buy Luna and then restaking it. And there are several protocols that airdrop their project tokens to users. Our contracts claim all of that on the Terra ecosystem and make them available to users. In the absence of a protocol like ours, users have to go to each and every protocol that is giving airdrops to consumers, have to claim those airdrops manually, right?
So that's like automated compounding smart contract for Luna stakers.
Yep. Absolutely. So another interesting insight that we ourselves have discussed with a lot of tax experts and some of the community members have highlighted this to us is in some ways this is a lot more tax efficient when compared to claiming the rewards and restaking them or claiming the airdrops because that includes a recognizable transaction. But when users stake with us, the contracts do this automatically in the background and there is a potential either deferment of taxable event or it's not considered a taxable event. So these are some of the interesting optimizations around the tax side. Obviously, this is not tax advice. One should check with their own tax advisor to figure out the jurisdictional nuances around this. Right. So these are the advantages when it comes to delegators' perspective. The advantages from a network perspective is right now we have about 20-25 validators across our stake pools. Right. In the absence of a smart contract like Stader, the delegators have to go individually pick the validators and stake with multiple such validators. That means extreme complexity in terms of discovering the validator and also managing the stake once they stake with these validators. The users have to manually go claim the rewards, do all of these operations, right? So it's one advantage for the delegators, and then obviously for a network, because this is so cumbersome for the delegators, they usually pick the top one or two validators and stake with them, right? As a result, what happens is extreme amount of stake centralization happens for the POS networks. But using a smart contract like us and curated selection methodologies that we have employed in the background, we actually abstract out the entire validator selection for the delegators, at the same time disperse the stake across several validators per network. Right? That kind of becomes extremely critical for a network because it ends up dispersing the stake across several validators and over a period of time increases the Nakamoto coefficient for a network.
So this would be, just to simplify a bit for me to understand, this would be sort of like smart indexation for validators in the network?
Yep. So, I mean, in the future, the types of pools that we would add are a pool that increases a Nakamoto coefficient or a decentralization pool that can have potentially hundreds of validators. And each of those validators are allocated capital in a round robin way, with the lowest voting power validator getting access to the immediate delegations first, right? And then we can constantly keep replacing these validators based on their performance so that they are also incentivized to stay at top of their game when it comes to validating on the network.
Yeah.
Essentially customizing each pool or customizing it based on the performance of the validator.
Yep. Cool. Awesome. So this is probably something people are aware of, which is the liquid staking. There are several protocols like Rocket Pool or Lido who have built good liquid staking solutions on Ethereum. I can probably just skip this. We also have a similar C token type of solution on Terra called Luna X. Currently, about 2 million Luna is staked with that. And then again, this token is also quite tax efficient because it's a potential capital gains event rather than a income-based staking event. Again, not tax advice. You should check with tax advisor for it.
But by the way, just sort of a side question. When you mention tax efficiency, are you guys targeting a specific jurisdiction, or is it something, an overall overreaching solution that you are creating for all stakers? Are you looking at the US, or is it something else?
So be it US or for that matter, any kind of a jurisdiction, there are two types of taxes, right? One is an income, the other one is a capital gains, right? Yeah. Across most of the jurisdictions, capital gains are probably better from a user's perspective than an income tax.
Mhm.
Especially long-term capital gains are much better. So having a C token kind of a model usually is better from a taxation perspective for an individual, right? And I think most importantly, some of these solutions like these auto compounding smart contract based solutions are extremely relevant for institutional segment because these institutions are quite conservative when it comes to tax reporting practices, right? And for them, easy to use solutions are the way to win their trust and adoption in the long run, as opposed to them keeping a track of all the blockchain transactions. If they start receiving staking rewards every epoch, they probably need to employ an army of resources, uh, churning this data in the background and keep reporting these taxable events. Right? For them, we also have a set of tax efficient vaults that we want to build on top of our staking smart contracts on SSV network as well as on the other blockchains that we're working on. I'll come to that when we discuss the proposal.
Mhm.
Cool. Yeah. So let me quickly get into why we think the collaboration between SSV network and Stader is critical. The first and foremost is as soon as I read about SSV network and discussed with Adam and some of your team members, obviously the key thing that struck me is there is a huge overlap in what we are trying to solve for, and that kind of got the entire team, including Sid, me, and Dheeraj, quite excited about building on top of SSV network. So one of the most important things that resonated well with us was the decentralization ethos, rather than picking and choosing a set of validators and then building applications on top, right? That's one thing that really resonated well with us. The other thing is the way you guys are, the way the SSV network is thinking about solving this decentralization problem, which is going to the fundamentals of the cryptographic technology and then building this shared secret validator keys using the using like really core cryptographic technology was something which is fundamental and can has the potential to transform not just Ethereum staking, but also several other proof of stake, staking across several other proof of stake networks, which is that's the second thing that really excited us. And then we started seriously considering building on SSV network. The reason why we uh, see complementarities across Stader and SSV is we also don't want to actually do a validator selection based on invitation, right? In every network, there should be incentives and disincentives. That's the way we have approached building staking solutions on Terra and also across all the blockchains, right? So if the validators perform well, there has to be a very clear incentive for them to stay in the pool. If the validators do not perform well, there has to be a clear disincentive for them by either penalizing them or by actually exiting those validators. I think I think both of these go very complementarily because using your technology, we can build the application or the middleware layer on top that can talk to the data layer on the validators that you're building and kind of help delegators pick and choose these customized validator pools, at the same time limit their exposure to catastrophic events like slashing, etc. Right? So that's the way I see your solution or your technology as the bedrock, and then we build the middleware and smart contract layer on top. Right? So that's why these are the two important areas that excited us about SSV. Happy to sort of pause and take any questions.
I personally think that the idea of it's a new way, at least for the Ethereum ecosystem, to imagine staking pools. So up until recently, a lot of teams in the ecosystem are basically trying to solve the problem of how to stake less than 32 ETH. But this is starting to be more and more commoditized. So there are a lot of solutions, a lot of companies offering this and that way to stake, and obviously staking tokens on top of that. What you guys are proposing is sort of an innovative way to think of staking pools. It's sort of staking pool as a service, where you have different combinations of staking pools according to different themes or needs by different entities or teams or stakers in the ecosystem, and then they can pick and choose whatever they want according to their needs. And obviously, I guess that you guys will even be able to sort of spin up a customized solution for let's say a large institutional staker or someone who needs to be, let's say, consider regulatory issues when, I don't know, they're based in the US or other geolocations where they have more constraint in terms of regulation or taxation. I think this is super exciting. It's not a question, but it's something that really gets me going in terms of looking at your proposal and what you guys will be able to bring to the ecosystem.
I also have a few questions, just clarifications. I mean, it's something that comes up on a few of the calls that we've had so far. We're so focused on Ethereum and what it has to offer and the POS that it has to offer that we neglect the fact that other chains have been dealing with POS and finding solutions for POS for a while now. Luna is a great example for it. What I'm wondering, what I want to know is, from your experience, how do you think that the knowledge or the experience that stakers and staking pools on Luna can translate to Ethereum? How would that look like? Because so far, like you've mentioned earlier, there aren't too many examples, as many examples as there are on Luna, as there are on Ethereum.
Yeah, I think especially on some of the recent proof of stake ecosystems, there is a lot of validator differentiation that happened. That was one of the primary reasons for us to also look at Terra as the first ecosystem to build, right? Lots of validators are trying to differentiate themselves based on their own strengths, right? The way I'm just trying to give you a context before I get to the specific answer. So just please bear with me for a moment. So some of these validators are creating their own content. Some of them are creating protocols that give airdrops to the stakers. And it's only a matter of time before I think validators, it's only a matter of time before validation becomes mainstream. I'm sure a lot of telecom companies are also entering into this validator space, including Deutsche Telekom, etc. And then I see a world where these validators start giving incentives to stakers, like cashbacks, loyalty rewards, and probably also layer in additional Web2 based incentives or discounts to attract delegations, right? And now one can imagine how this will potentially pan out when it comes to institutional delegations, right? There could be several variations of that. Example today, if in the US, if an institution or a user delegates to a client, delegates to a validator who runs his operations out of US, then it's kind of a taxable event. But if they choose to delegate to validators who are running their operations in an offshore entity, there is a different tax treatment for them, right? All of these different shades and combinations will start emerging across different geographies, right? And now how will these evolve across different POS ecosystems? It's at this stage, it's actually quite mind-boggling to imagine such trends to me. But I think we should obviously start seeing such trends on Ethereum as well as we completely transition to proof of stake. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of don't take it as a cynical question, but a lot of what you've mentioned from the transitioning phase and even in the presentation early on has been around taxation, has been around, I'm guessing, APR, has been around returns. Now, you guys are aiming at the end of the day to cater to a few POS chains to be the sort of hub or infrastructure for everything that has to do with staking. Do you think that at the end of the day, it all boils down to where am I getting more money? Or is there anything else, ethos-wise, community-wise, anything else-wise that people will care about? Or do you think it's just cash?
Got you. I think it's a very, very important question. So it just goes back to the user segment wise, and why the kind of the fundamental philosophy behind Stader and the way we want to build it as an infrastructure is because we want to cater to different segments. More cash is a very relative term. I can generate 300% APR, but obviously it'll come with its own risk, right?
Yeah.
And the perception of risk and perception of returns is very different for a retail user, very different for an institutional user, and very different for a user who is likely coming to crypto like probably very newly, right? So some of these are very relative parameters. Obviously, everybody wants to maximize the amount of returns or ROI they make in commensuration, in relative terms with the amount of risk that they can take, right? So definitely there are some solutions that we are also building, including liquid staking, which are more relevant and help users generate higher yields and maximize their ROI. But then not everybody is seeking those solutions. There are several users who are seeking institutionally compliant solutions, several users who want high quality staking solutions, which prevents them from the downside risk of slashing, etc. And several users who want to actively promote the validators who are building the ecosystem, right? So how do we cater to all of these? Is by building these modular contracts. That's the approach that we have taken so far.
I think this ties back really well to the beginning of the presentation of you basically asking the question of how do we onboard the next billion stakers into the ecosystem, and getting telecom companies or Fortune 500 companies into the staking realm. And this would be probably more applicable if you kind of think of things in on the application layer to the extreme. And this is exactly sort of the way I interpret your vision. So we are fundamentally solving technological problems, but eventually what we want to cater to is something that is very close to a lot of customizability and a lot of ease of use for the next billion stakers, which might not be the hardcore Ethereum or Luna stakers from the crypto community, but companies which are a bit outside of the crypto sphere, but are looking at this as a good opportunity to be a part of the network and generate yield. And you guys want to cater to these kind of use cases and users as well. I think this is really exciting and broadens the vision and the scope of staking outside of the small tight-knit community of Ethereum staker or whatever Luna stakers. This is, I think, where things will naturally evolve very soon.
Yep.
All right,
Awesome.
let's proceed and get to the fun bit of it.
Awesome. Should I let me just quickly give an overview of the suite of solutions that we plan to build on top of ssv network, and then I can go into some of the specifics through the proposal. Broadly, the way we see the evolution of the product suite is, the first one is obviously building this validator classification layer, where we build the. I think you guys have already, Adam, in our last conversation, you were showing the know your block producer product that you have built on top of Ethereum network, right? Or on top of Ethereum validators. So using that layer,
You mean our Explorer?
Sorry?
Our Explorer?
Yes.
Yeah. It's publicly available, definitely. So you get a lot of good data from there.
Yep. So essentially, the first and foremost phase, which is the phase one, is going to be creating this flexibility to pick the top performing validators on Ethereum and creating that one stake pool, which is quite decentralized and composed of several high quality node operators, and then building a liquid staking solution on top. This I think will have a good amount of adoption. The reason for this is also to get that initial set of users to use the platform. And phase two, phase three are about taking this to the next level, building these customizable stake pools that have the ability to redirect the yields across different protocols in the Ethereum ecosystem, and also potentially taking them to cross chain, right? The reason why this becomes important is one, it helps build several node operator pools. It also helps build the customizable stake pools layer on top of your network. And then it also gives the opportunity for users or stakers to redirect their yields periodically into other DeFi projects to amplify the staking yields, right? So this is the second phase. The third phase is basically building on top of the second phase, where we create these custom pools of either KYC validators or node operators that had zero slashing history in the last X months for institutions and exchanges, so that they could offer this as a white label solution for their users, right? And then I think using these three products, there is huge potential to build these institutional grade liquid staking solutions or independent stake pools type of solutions that can create several financial products on top. But I think these three will probably be the uh, initial three phases, and then probably the phase four and phase five can be built on top. Solutions that can be built on top of these three solutions.
Just curious about the yield redirection part. Is this something like an automated strategy where you divert, some of the yield to different DeFi strategies? And if so, will you guys build these strategies, or you'll have other community members that will build strategies on top of your, of your service? How will that work?
Yeah. So I think the first one or two strategies will be built by Stader, and beyond that, it will be community-driven strategy building, and we can create a decentralized. I mean, obviously, governance will kind of decide which strategies to build next and how to incentivize the developers and third parties building on top of these strategies.
Yeah.
It is going to, I think it is going to be substantial, because today, I mean, as the adoption of Ethereum increases, the staking yields are probably going to multiply, and then generating additional yields on top of it, especially when the crypto market cap goes to a few $1 trillion. Literally, people can build hedge funds on top of staking yields.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if this is the bonds of the crypto sphere, this is definitely, sort of the base layer for building a lot of, different DeFi applications and yield strategies. All right. So this is your proposal, right?
Yep. So I can probably talk through the specifics around the grant amount and what are some of the milestones that we will get to. Or we can pause a little bit and take some questions before we get into these.
I think that you've covered most of it. I think that, again, that's usually what the community is looking for, is hard sort of timeline tables, and so when they can actually feel or see the development with their own eyes,
Gotcha. Understand. So here is a quick breakdown of the costs, and then what we want as a grant from the SSV DAO. Broadly, we think the overall end-to-end development, including about 2 to 3 audits, we think it'll probably be in the ballpark range of 300 to 350,000 USD. And then the proposal is to give us a grant of about 120,000 USD, and that is primarily going to be spent across building 4 features. The first one is the initial validator categorization. We're going to develop a front-end UI using a lot of your existing Explorer data, and then help us create this initial set of high quality validators that can be leveraged for liquid staking. The same solution can be used in phase 2 and phase 3 as well, where we create these ability to customize the stake pools and create even specific KYC pools, etc. Right? And then the second feature that we're going to build is basically an ability to issue a liquid staking token, while the Stader smart contract delegates to this high quality set of validators chosen in the feature 1. Right? And then obviously the third thing is the end-to-end testing as well as optimizing for SSV testnet. That will be the third milestone that we will have. And then the mainnet deployment will be the final milestone, which will come in after the audit happens. Right? So these are the features / milestones that we have, and the budget that we are requesting as in accordance to us hitting those milestones.
So I have a question about the phase 1, which is basically creating sort of a curated list of high-performing nodes in the network, and then creating a dashboard for that. So what kind of criteria will you apply? I mean, obviously you don't have everything mapped out right now, but is this something that you guys will, take charge of internally, or is this a DAO process where people need to vote on specific criteria, and then you take that criteria and you run a query through our Explorer, and then through that bring in the most let's say highest performing nodes? So what will be the process around that?
Gotcha. So let me give you a context on how we have built it out on Terra. We are thinking on similar lines to begin with, but then later on we plan to decentralize that criteria as well. On Terra, what we have built is this solution called Novio Validator, which actually process the data, the validation related data for the validators on Terra, including the uptime, the Oracle, the Oracle commits, as well as several other network quality parameters, along with financial parameters like commissions, maximum commission changes, etc. And also the voting power that the validator has. So it's really a combination of a set of network parameters, financial parameters, as well as qualitative parameters. Right? In the beginning, we will build these criteria. Obviously, it'll have to be a collaborative process because you have built the underlying infrastructure for giving infrastructure or the Explorer for this. So it'll be a collaborative exercise between the SSV network and the way Stader team is thinking about it. And then we will obviously put that out as a proposal and get active feedback from the community. And the initial solution will have the decision making centralized among the Stader team. And then the second phase is where we completely decentralize this decision making, and the governance process on the Stader network will decide this.
Got it.
So the decisions will be made on the Stader network in regards to the operation on the SSV after phase 2, correct?
It won't be regarding the operations on the SSV. The decisions that the Stader DAO will vote on or the criteria for selecting these validators. It's not about like, hey, let's take validator 1 versus validator 2. It will be about, hey, what is the right network quality thresholds that are required, right? So some of these decisions will be determined.
Understood. I think that it's also important to stress, I mean, it's kind of hidden between the words, but you're expecting a total cost of $350,000, upwards of $350,000, which means you're technically asking for approximately 1/3 of the budget from the SSV. So the rest of the budget will be covered by you guys?
Yep, we will actually fund the rest of the expenses.
That's definitely worth mentioning. Yeah.
can you walk us through a bit, through the timelines that you guys have in place? Obviously, development timelines are always tricky, but just an
and
overview.
Developers never commit to them, so that's even trickier. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Just anticipating the questions that will come from the community.
Gotcha. Understand. So I think we want to obviously start the especially the initial research and development probably by the mid of March. This proposal is a slightly dated one, and then there's been a bit of a delay. But we anticipate that we can start doing our initial scoping and the technological assessment starting middle of March, and have the phase one fully developed by the end of May to mid of June, and we will be completely live on the mainnet by then.
So phase one is obviously the curation.
Phase one is the valid,
the operator, high performing
operator curation and building a liquid staking solution.
Oh, and that includes a liquid staking solution.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it. That's ambitious. All right.
Do you expect, it's kind of a funny question to be asking you, but do you expect more liquid staking solutions to appear and sort of pose competition to you guys?
I definitely think there is a lot of scope to liquid staking solutions, especially different variations of liquid staking solutions, right? Like for example, on Terra, there are 3 different types of liquid staking solutions. One is just a principal token and the yield separated out. Then there is a principal token and a yield token that is separated out. Then we have Luna X, that is a combination of our stake pools and a liquid token where we auto compound, which is a C token model, right? I do think there is definitely a lot of scope to innovation on liquid staking. We ourselves are building one such innovation, which is kind of the liquid staking version 2, where we are taking the yields and then putting them on slightly riskier DeFi protocols, and then periodically increasing the liquid staking tokens value based on the mark to market returns that we're generating on DeFi. So it's kind of staking combined with DeFi, and then issuing the liquid token on top.
For us Ethereum guys, having the money locked for such a long time, not being able to do much with the yields, not being able to move the money, and except a few exceptions that you mentioned before with liquid staking solutions, it's quite not as developed as it is on other POS chains. So bringing this into Ethereum could be very exciting. But explaining it to Ethereum guys so they can understand the benefits and how it can actually work is not an easy task. So definitely we'll do an AMA to follow this up so people can understand how and what they can do with the actual yields.
Yep. I think we definitely need to do quite a bit of education, but I think Ethereum community is probably the most advanced in terms of using crypto and DeFi applications. I'm sure they will understand it.
Yeah.
And when you explain to people how they can make even more money than they're currently making, they're all ears. They're happy to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Perfect.
All right.
Anything else you guys would like to say, to state, to share?
No, I think not at the moment. Not at the moment. So I have certain questions around the around when SSV is going to be live on mainnet. I think we can take it offline.
Sure.
Yeah.
No problem. Just one final question for me. Are you guys, do you currently have in mind sort of an SSV first approach, or are you planning to develop a staking solution for Ethereum regardless of SSV, and then something in parallel for SSV specifically?
At the moment, it's only SSV specific solution that we are thinking about.
Got it. All right.
Yeah, the way this usually works is we post a video people watch it tend to come up with a few more questions, and then what we'll do is host sort of a written AMA or semi-written, you answer questions in the community, sort of to address more difficult questions from usually the tech dev guys. Usually I can already anticipate it's usually other people that have been thinking about building staking pools might drop by a few questions as well. So that should be fun.
Nice.
On a personal note, I'm very eager to see the transition from Luna to Ethereum, and then your transition to other POS chains, and how you sort of, bring this all together in a way that it's aligned, or in a way that people can understand and jump in from one POS chain to anyway. It's a long road ahead, but I'm very eager to see that. If you don't have any final words or any questions, we'll leave it up to the community to ask you the questions next week. I just wanted to personally thank you guys. It's a huge initiative. It's a huge proposal. It's a very significant one. It's on a personal level, it's one of those proposals that we were waiting to see. We were working on SSV with the hopes of seeing these kind of proposals coming in. So we hope the community will take the time to appreciate and review this. Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure. Thanks Adam, for
Thanks a
staying as
lot,
well.
Adam.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Adam and Aaron. We are personally very excited to be initiate our development on Ethereum, and especially given the advanced DeFi ecosystem on Ethereum, and also the large scale changes that are coming on Ethereum over the next 1 year. It will be an uphill journey for us, but nevertheless quite excited and challenged by this journey.
Amazing.
So
we're all looking forward. So
yep.
I think that the proposal will probably be sent by the community to a vote over the course of the next few days, maybe next week. And we'll update you guys in the community on how things develop. But I'm super excited to see this taking off.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to it, Adam.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Thanks for the time, guys. We'll be in touch.
Thanks, Adam. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.